Generally in America, in the last few years, the big banks have been no arrest zones. Any kind of wrongdoing can be going on there and you're not going to be arrested. But it turns out that if you're on the sidewalk in front of it, you can be arrested, even if you're just protesting in a very innocent and I think completely harmless way. So I'm referring here to Jeff Olson of San Diego. And a while back, not even this year, back between February and August of 2012, he was protesting his opposition to the big banks by chalking some slogans on the sidewalk. There were some pretty offensive, pretty extreme slogans like, "No thanks, big banks," and "Shame on Bank of America." Maybe he wanted to say something more extreme after that little intro, but he ran out of chalk or something, I don't know. And so he is being arrested, and he might actually go to jail for this. Not for a day, not for a week, not for a month. He might go to jail for 13 years, and he might have to also pay $13,000 in restitution. I don't know if there's some weird correlation between number of years and amount of restitution, but it seems to line up pretty well there. Now, some say that this doesn't have as much to do with the banks and more to do with sort of a power-obsessed attorney general in that area. There's this weird political feud going on between a man that Jeff Olson had worked for and that attorney general. I don't know if that's the case, but I do think it's interesting that it was a protest against the banks that led to this. And I think it's pretty obvious that considering the slogans and the fact that he was just using chalk, that seems like a very extreme response. But he says, to completely clarify it, that he always did it on city sidewalks. It was washable chalk. I think all chalk is pretty much washable, but maybe this is extremely washable. They were never crude messages, which seems to bear out from what we've seen. They were never vulgar, and they were clearly topical. Look, I, as a college student, chalked more offensive things out in front of my dorm, and I didn't have to go to jail for even 13 hours, let alone a decade and a third. And this is ridiculous. This is not even just ridiculous because he's being arrested. It's actually ridiculous if you're the banks. Because we've gone extremely easy on the banks. They really dodged a bullet. And the last thing they need right now is to appear to be, not even really Big Brother, but to just be so above the law and so harsh in cracking down on average Americans. They already do enough of that when it comes to repossessing houses and things like that. But if this guy goes to jail for 13 years, which it might be a much shorter term, that's totally possible at this point, that is going to make Bank of America look absolutely horrible. And you can bet that it's going to appear in anti-BOA ads in the future. So whether you're just an average person who wants Americans to continue to have the ability to protest in a nonviolent way, or if you're an executive at Bank of America or the other big banks, this isn't a good thing for anyone.